5 years. 5 whole years. I had given up everything. My time, my loyalty, my heart. All of it for a woman who never deserved a single moment of it. I stood there in our living room, staring at the table I had lovingly set for our anniversary dinner, thinking we'd be celebrating. The candles were lit, the meat marinating in the kitchen, and I'd even opened that bottle of wine she always said she enjoyed. I wanted tonight to feel special, to remind Camille of everything we had built together. But as the clock neared 8, my phone chimed. Stuck at work. I promise I'll make it up to you. I read it, then reread it. My thumb hovered over the screen. Work on a Friday night, on our 5th anniversary. Didn't make sense. A nagging emotion, one I'd been trying to deny for months, twisted in my gut. I didn't want to believe it, but I had listened to the whispers, seen the late nights, the half-truths. The truth was unraveling before me. I grabbed my keys and drove to her office. The parking lot was empty. No lights, no cars, no Camille. That's when I knew. She wasn't stuck at work. She was with him. Some young guy, too young to even drink, sitting across from her at some overpriced French restaurant, laughing under the glow of candlelight while I stood there, an idiot, waiting for her to come home. I could almost see it, her flipping back her hair, drinking the wine I'd bought, feeling like she'd gotten away with everything. A silent goodbye was burning in my chest. But I didn't call her. I didn't yell, didn't even swear. I simply texted 2 words. No worries. Then I put my phone away, went upstairs and started packing. Not a suitcase, everything. My clothes, my books, my cherished coffee mug. I threw it all into my pickup truck and drove to the mansion she didn't know existed. The one I'd bought last year, always intending it to be my escape route. A new beginning. As I pulled into the driveway, I felt the weight of those 5 years falling off my shoulders. She thought she had me wrapped around her little finger, that I would forgive her like I always had. Not this time. I entered the house, the abyss wrapped in silence. It was huge, with marble floors and high ceilings, a view of the city lights below. I dropped my bags in the foyer, made my way to the bar in the back, and poured myself a whiskey. The first gulp burned, but it steadied me. The realization hit me hard. The only one who had to be scared tonight wasn't me. Camille didn't know what was coming. She thought she could have this little fling while I waited at home, like some dog loyal to the bone. Not anymore. I took another sip of my whiskey and looked out at the city. 5 years of self-denial. All for what? I'd put everything on the line for a kid who couldn't even spell commitment. I was done. I promised myself she would regret this. Not because I would scream or beg. No, she would regret it because I was finished acting the fool. The morning after, golden light poured through the mansion's high windows, streaking across the marble floors. I woke up alone. And for the first time in years, it didn't seem so bad. I stretched. My muscles ached from moving boxes all night. I reached for my phone, the one I'd left on since I'd sent that last message. When I turned it on, the screen was flooded with notifications. Missed calls, voicemails, texts, all from her. I didn't open them. Not yet. I stared at the blinking alerts, fully aware she had returned home to an empty house and was going mad. But let her sit with it. I brewed a pot of coffee in the sleek, modern kitchen and drank it black. It was bitter, perfectly bitter, matching my mood. 5 years of marriage. She thought she could betray me behind my back, then come home and look me in the eye and lie. Not anymore. Her texts were a jumble of excuses and desperation. Where are you? Why aren't you replying? Come home and you're gone. What's going on? Smirk. She sounded like a little girl caught with her hand in the cookie jar. She probably thought I would storm off, cool off, then crawl back. Little did she know, I was already 10 moves ahead. I put my phone down and moved to the closet. The one I'd started stuffing last night. My suits hung neatly. My watches were lined up on the shelf. Everything was exactly as it should be. I had to keep moving forward. What Camille didn't realize then was that it wasn't just me she was losing. It was everything. The mansion. The money. The glamorous life she adored and loved to flaunt with her friends. It was all tied to me and I was cutting that lifeline. By midday my assistant called. "She's here," he reported. Came storming into the office, demanding to know where the hell you are. Security had to remove her. I chuckled to myself. There she was, in her tight little mini-skirt, marching through my company like she still owned the place. "Let her shout," I replied. "I'm not there." I hung up and made myself another cup of coffee. I wasn't in the office because I didn't need to be. I had been preparing for this for months, rearranging assets, closing accounts, making sure that when I walked away with no loose ends. She thought she could roll with the punches and still use me as her financial backup. Not anymore. Another text buzzed. "Please just talk to me." I didn't respond. She'd find out soon enough when her credit cards were denied, when the locks on her house no longer accepted her key. I smirked again. By the time Tony sent me the update, Camille was already spiraling. Jeremy, the man she left me for, was still there, but he wasn't what she thought. Tony had been keeping tabs, and now I knew. He had picked her up from a friend's place and brought her back to his apartment. Smiled. Let him try. I'd seen his type before. Young, cocky, thinking he'd found the jackpot in an older woman dripping with wealth and status. But now Camille had nothing. No money. No car. No lavish home. I thought about it for a second. How long until he sees? I went into the kitchen, grabbed an apple, and sat in the living room, savoring the tartness. This place, this mansion, was mine now. I could decorate it, rearrange it, make it anything I wanted. It was just me now. And I liked it that way. Jeremy, the man she thought would swoop in and save her, was about to realize the truth. There would be no designer handbags, no five-star dinners, no last-minute trips to Paris. That life was over. 2 days earlier I'd made sure of that. I wiped out their joint accounts, deactivated the credit cards, changed the locks on the house. Camille was no longer an asset. She was dead weight. Tony sent another update. Camille was arguing with Jeremy outside his apartment, yelling about money. I could easily picture it. Camille, arms flailing, demanding he pick up lunch or a cab, while Jeremy silently stood by. The poor kid probably had no clue how deep he was in it. He thought he could keep them afloat. But charm doesn't pay the bills. I smiled, knowing the storm was coming for them both. I walked into my office, sat at my desk, and opened my laptop. The accounts were flourishing, years of hard work paying off. Camille had spent years wearing my wealth like it was her own, but now she had nothing. I slammed the laptop shut, leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Jeremy wouldn't last much longer. Maybe he promised her a new beginning. Maybe he told her he'd care for her, that she didn't need to worry about money. But at 20, with no money of his own, promises were cheap. Gave it a week. Maybe 2. Then late that night Tony texted again. He dumped her. Dropped her at a motel. Then left in a hurry. I grinned, swirling my drink in my glass. 2 weeks. It was even faster than I'd predicted. I could picture it. Camille begging him to stay, telling him things would be different now. But it was too late. She was a sinking ship. Without my money, she was nothing. I set my glass down, stretched my arms up, and felt the tension leave my shoulders. Jeremy walking out was the perfect cherry on top. She had given up 5 years of marriage for a man who abandoned her the second things got tough. I stepped out onto the balcony. The shallow night wind kissed my skin. Now she was alone, sitting in some crummy motel room, crying, wondering when it all went wrong. I didn't pity her. Not one bit. She made her choice. Now she had to live with it. The final chapter. I held on to the railing, the hum of the city below me. Jeremy was gone, and Camille. She was on her own. Let her learn how to live without me. I had rebuilt my life. She was no longer in it.